Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Butterfly Kisses, a journey of spiritual transformation. I am your host, Amy Gray-Cunningham. I hope everyone is having a fabulous week so far. Happy Hump Day! So let me ask you, do you at times feel lost or confused or about what it is you really desire in life? Or do you struggle with letting go of the past or painful situations? Do you tend to hold on to emotions longer than needed, like resentment, anger, and frustration? Well, today's guest is here to help you. He is a pioneer and an innovator in spiritual growth and healing for many decades. Phillip Mountrose and his wife, Jane, are authors of The Loving Power of the Soul, a guidebook for realizing your true purpose. This book is all about practical and proven ways to living a fulfilling life with the help of your inner awareness for guidance, direction, and healing. Excellent book, by the way. In today's episode, we will talk all about EFT, emotional freedom techniques, and how to heal from the soul using guided meditation. He actually takes me on a guided meditation journey, which is very cool, and accessing the Akashic Records. What does it mean to heal from the soul, and what does that look like? We talk about that as well. So I can't wait for you to join me because we talk about this and so much more. But I also wanted to let you know that Phillip and Jane have a new Akashic Records course that they're offering to everyone. It's called Opening to Your Soul's Greatness with the Akashic Records. And it's every Wednesday for the month of June at 5 p.m. Eastern. And a sampling of some of the benefits that this course brings is you learn dozens of practical ways to uplift your daily life, including health, wealth, and relationships. They'll be accessing higher dimensions, guides, and records keepers. So they'll teach you how to do that and understanding the big picture and the best options to go forward based off of that big picture. And also how to integrate your higher vibrations into your body through the Akashic Records and accelerating your evolution so you can help yourself in the world more easily and effectively. And what you'll receive from the course is through the 5 classes each Wednesday in August. It's a recording in video and audio format. You receive the recording in video and audio format for your library. Plus, you get a copy of their new book, The Loving Power of the Soul, which, like I told you, is very awesome. Invaluable handouts and their exclusive guidebook on the Akashic Records. And you can find out more about this course with Phillip and Jane at Getting Through, and that's thru.org/spiritual/Akashic Records course. I'll have the link for you in the show notes, so you can check it out there. But before we get started with Phillip's episode today, I wanted to also remind you that we have another episode that will be dropping on this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, where I talk with Krista, who is the creator and owner of Wild Remedies, which is all about magic lattes. Very yummy. I've tried some and they're awesome as well. Due to spending a large part of her life, Krista's life, battling chronic illness, inflammation, and sabotaging behaviors, Krista incorporated the conscious use of mindfulness, intuition, and introspection to help uncover the answers that she found was always within herself. Seeing an opportunity in the marketplace for a better-for-you functional beverage, Krista was inspired to use her years of creative expertise and knowledge and wellness to create a product line, very yummy product line, that uses the medicine of botanicals, which encourages natural healing, the beauty and art of design, the packaging that it's in, and the creativity of cooking, the flavor that goes with it, to create a product line that's forging a new path in the wellness space by merging supplements with beverage. So I hope you will join me this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern for this inspiring conversation with Krista. Also, if you like what you hear, please subscribe to Apple or whatever app you use to listen to this podcast, and also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. All the links are provided in the show notes, and you can also subscribe to my weekly newsletter. That way you won't miss when a new episode is available. Thank you all for joining us today. So now let's get to today's conversation with Phillip. Hi, Phillip. How are you today?
Hey, great being with you, Amy. Love your show, what you're doing. I see butterflies going all over the place today.
I love butterflies. They are my, I don't know what you call it, but my power animal, I guess.
Metamorphosis.
Yes, all about metamorphosis. So tell us a little bit about your story. You and your wife work together and you do spiritual coaching.
Yes, we do spiritual coaching and healing, and we've been doing that for the past 25 years. We've written about a dozen books and created about 20 courses. We've done a lot of things which just happened, Amy, by following our soul. And that was really the spur of my spiritual seeking decades ago when I was in my 20s, of wanting to awaken, to realize like, hey, there's something I want to do in the world. And I'm starting to realize is the limitations of my ego. And I went on sort of my spiritual seeking into Buddhism and Japanese tea ceremonies and found a Gurdjieff Ouspensky esoteric Christianity school where I joined and met my wife, which was very interesting and useful, although something cult, and kind of followed the leader idea. And after we left that and were shunned, and I was married by that time, and that's kind of par for the course, right? And then we realized healing was a big part of spiritual awakening, which many people don't even realize that. It took us a while actually to realize it, so I'm not surprised if many people that might be news to, maybe not so much now, or to people, listeners of your podcast.
Do you mean physical healing or spiritual healing?
Spiritual healing, which often includes physical healing. Physical healing is often the symptom. Whether people get that as part of their spiritual journey, that's optional, and that's an opportunity. And so that we were seeking healing, energy healing, spiritual healing, as healing the shadow, the part of awakening. And that led us into things like holistic hypnotherapy. We were early adopters of EFT, the energy tapping technique, and developed our own brand of it, Holistic EFT, and studied other things and developed a lot of our own processes. And a lot of it was really based, Amy, on healing from the soul and awakening from the soul. And then we started helping people individually and then in groups and doing a lot of books and trainings. And this was at first part-time because I was an educator. My wife, Jane Mountrose, and partner, was an architect, but in our own ways, we got kind of burnt out in those professions and eventually went full-time into holistic coaching and healing and helping people that way.
What's the difference between your holistic EFT practice and a regular, somebody else's EFT practice? What makes yours different?
That's a good question. EFT, the emotional freedom technique tapping, which many people now have heard of. It's millions of people around the world, although I meet people all the time who've never heard of it. It's not electronic fund transfer. That's another EFT. But the energy technique, which is very wonderful, is based on tapping pressure points, key acupressure points like acupuncture uses, which are central to the body's energy system. And tapping on those and saying affirmations which direct your energy to balance your body, realign your circuits or reboot your system, balance your energy. Works very well. This what we might call standard EFT or typical EFT is often around a lot of sort of scripted statements or affirmations, which may or may not be accurate or useful to the person. So what we do is like to customize the statements based on what the person needs, and we also added some more holistic points to integrate I'm tapping one on the top of the head to integrate the left and right brain, and tap the heart to integrate the heart, which helps open to the soul, the heart too. So there's a few elements to go deeper into a more holistic body, mind, spirit. Although EFT by itself, standard EFT works very well, but it can be very scripted and mechanical, which is one of the reasons why it was so accepted, because it's a good bridge for people to go deeper into energy work, to realize that we are energy beings. We're not just physical beings.
That's awesome. I love EFT. I've been doing that for a couple of years now, and it's a great practice. And I love having people on that can explain what EFT is and how it works, because I think it's a phenomenal practice.
As we wrote a couple books on EFT too, Getting Through to Your Emotions with EFT, one of the first books on EFT that's pretty comprehensive as well.
That's wonderful. I will have that in the show notes, a link to that as well. That would be great for people who are interested in that. That would be good. So tell us a little bit. You had mentioned healing from the soul. What do you mean by healing from the soul?
Okay, so let's start with soul, because that's a word that can be bandied about or evoke confusion in itself.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the way I understand it, which I'm not saying is exclusive or the final word, but it makes a lot of sense as I'm about to explain, I believe, and it's been my life's work, so I hope it makes a lot of sense, and I hope I can explain it. So people are aware of their soul's energy, the part that is more transcendent, that sort of is behind the scene, the director behind the scene, the app running, the conscious being running us. And when we are in beauty, with the sunset, say, or sunrise, we have this feeling of awe and connection with everything. So our soul is very present. Or in times of great challenge or crisis or tragedy, we feel very alive, very enlivened at those moments, right? So what people don't realize is that energy can be summoned every moment of every day, because it's still running. It's just a matter of consciously connecting with it. So a person actually, on early teachers we had kind of taught us what we call their version of soul centering, of connecting, opening your heart and feeling that energy and connecting further with the universe. There's a little soul centering that we now call, and that we wrote about in our new book, The Loving Power of Your Soul. So when you connect consciously with the soul, which you can do as a meditation, once you understand how to do that, you can do it pretty instantly. And it's still good to cultivate it so it becomes something very natural, and you have more of that soul presence available to you from moment to moment. So that's the part A of the question. What is the soul? Now let's talk about the healing part. So the soul is also your greatest resource and healer too. Because it has tremendous wisdom and insight and healing energy, which it can direct to you. And another energy modality, like holistic EFT, that we developed, we call spiritual kinesiology. And the kinesiology is the muscle testing, but that aside, the most powerful part of this energy healing modality is connecting with the soul, like I was just talking about, which we can sense now, and maybe you and your listeners can if you open your heart and feel present now and breathe into it. And then with that in mind, with that awareness, you can direct that for healing. And there's a few other things where you can kind of put your hands on your body where you feel stress if you want to do healing. So for example, like one lady, and doing the spiritual kinesiology, Amy, we've seen so many miraculous things happen. I just remember a lady who was just, it was in February 2022, and we did a demonstration of spiritual kinesiology, and there's some things you can do with it. And she had a tremendous, terrible cough and could hardly breathe. She'd been bedridden for about 10 days. She could hardly be there in the Zoom video to do this healing with the soul healing, spiritual kinesiology. And her face looked really blank. She felt like she was going to die. I mean, she felt like she could hardly breathe. It was kind of strange. And by the end of it, it was a little longer. She felt fine. Her face was flushed. She wasn't coughing. She felt really wonderful and had a deep insight into where this was coming from, this energy that was kind of dragging her down, which was physical. But the physical things are metaphysical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, as you know.
Yes.
And afterwards, she felt fine and she felt much better. What it turned out is that was the beginning of COVID, when people didn't quite know what COVID was. And she had a very serious bout of it. So that was a healing from the soul. I'm not saying it works all the time that well, though. Sometimes we could spend 30 or 40 minutes telling stories like that of people having remarkable recoveries, insights, and at the very least, just having an insight from your soul of what's going on with your life is very illuminating and transformational. And it can be very simple too. It can be very simple, like things are okay, or you can relax. I mean, it can be something that's simple, but from a higher soulful level, it makes a huge difference.
Why do you think people are so disconnected from their soul?
It's a big question. Well, maybe starting where we began with birth, there is this amnesia, which seems to be part of the arrangement on Earth, that you come in with a certain amnesia, although it seems like young children are pretty connected, and they have past life recounts of people remembering, young children remembering their past lives and so forth, a lot of evidence. So there seems to be some, but there's then more of the forgetting. Life is a forgetting. And then you go into the sort of the hypnosis of life and the programming, a lot of programming, which is very fear-based, as we know, and controlling, sometimes for positive reasons, some of it constructive. And then depending on where we are and how we respond to it, which is based on our choices and maybe where we are in our life and our life path and our spiritual evolution, we can awaken to that or not. We have choices.
Where do you think the soul resides in the body? Where do you think the soul is?
Well, maybe more accurate to say the body resides in the soul.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah, I like
So
that.
if our soul is eternal spark, an aspect of God, oneness, unity, depending how far you go up to, ultimate, everything connected, however you want to kind of divide the pie, so to speak. So if your soul is this eternal spark that's learning lessons, soul lessons that was created for you in this life, it's up to you. You have free will, how much you want to learn, how much progress you want to make. There's no pass or fail. So it goes on, and you learn what you want, and you get as much as you want, and then you go on to the next lesson. But we have choices how far we want to go and what we want to do with this opportunity.
How can someone get in touch with those choices? I mean, I know that we have free will and we're able to make these choices. And sometimes I think that we make them habitually, I guess, or they're just automatic, and we've made the same choices over and over and over again, and we just keep making the same ones.
Right.
How can we start making new choices?
Right. So I think that's where the soul's path and that awakening, like in my story for me, I did it early on, seeking spiritual enlightenment. And some people are like that. And I think the younger generations are waking up earlier and coming on with a lot more light in them, just generally speaking. Or traditionally, people in the midlife crisis or transition, 30s, 40s, 50s, like, I've kind of done adulthood in my job. And there must be more to life than this, right? So there is that time that seems to generally happen as a pattern. It seems to be built into the system of things. So at that point, there's a choice point there. This is sort of the big picture answer to your question, whether I'm going to awaken, start to make progress, or just keep on going and kind of keep my head down and try to keep on compensating and adjusting and, okay, everything's fine. I'll just sort of get through, and, I'll just, life is fine. It's good. It's not maybe, the greatest or whatever, but I'm comfortable. I'm doing well. And that yearning, that deeper awakening, what I'm here to learn, can easily be buried. But going more like micro targeting it from moment to moment, what if you are more connected with your soul? And that's why it's a good point where we started. And if you are more aware of that heart presence, which that's why we suggest in our book and teach how to connect with your soul, then the moment to moment, what is the soulful choice? What is the soulful choice?
And then when you connect with
that soulful
soul,
choice to listen to this interview or do something else.
Listen to this interview.
Yeah, probably.
So tell us about your book, The Loving Power of the Soul, a guidebook to realizing your true purpose. Where and why and how did this book come into?
And I just so happen to have a copy. Isn't that a beautiful cover that my
That's a
wife
beautiful
designed? She's
cover.
very artistic.
I love that cover. Very nice.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, I love that color too. It's kind of multi-dimensional. So this is a culmination of our life's work thus far. As I've said, we've written over a dozen other books in different forms. And this is a good way to learn how to connect with the soul. There's 6 ways we describe, and it's written very clearly, easy to read, but a lot of case examples and citing some science as well. And how to connect with your soul, 6 different ways to do it. And then the first section is just how the soul interacts with life and how it affects our functioning. We've talked a little bit about that so far, but we can go more into that. And then the 6 ways to connect with your soul. And the third part is the healing part, which we've connected on too. And we can even, go into a demo of that or whatever, but how to hands-on, step-by-step to heal from your soul and to be more holistic in your approach to life. So you get the most out of your life and your purpose and your soul's plan.
That would be interesting. Can you do a demo on that, or how does that work? Which
part?
The healing part.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we did a little bit of the soul centering. I suggest opening your heart. I'll do a little mini one with you, a different one. There's the opening heart soul centering, kind of give a version 2.
Okay.
Do a little rapid healing if we can. If it works, there's no guarantees, but it usually is good. So we start, say, with something that's maybe a little irritating, troubling. Could be something big, but maybe for now, maybe something's a little bothersome to you, if you care sharing it or mentioning it.
Well, can it be just something simple like a work issue, or?
Oh, yes, it can be something very simple.
I'm trying to figure out how to do this email signature, and it's not working right. And it's
okay. So that's a technical thing. So this is to heal the energy that's frustrating. Now, this isn't, a course on how to do email signatures.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the soul. The soul isn't going to give you a step-by-step. It'll kind of give you the energy and the space to learn whatever you need on earth to learn the steps to do an email signature. But I think it could serve still as a little mini example, because there's some emotion behind it.
Yes.
That we can all relate. And the emotion would be
frustration.
Okay. And we like to measure it like in EFT too, in SUDS level, standard units of distress, it's sometimes called. So 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. When you focus on the email signature difficulty.
8.
Okay, so it's pretty frustrating. Okay, yeah. So we do a visual. This is called the mud to mountaintop or apex process that we developed.
Okay.
And it connects with the soul as well as the healing part, as I was talking about earlier. So the issue could be put as being like in the mud. If you were to sense or picture yourself in that frustrated place, what would that be like for you, Amy?
It is very much like being in the mud. Like I know that I know how to do it. It's like it's right there, but it's just not working the way I feel it should be.
Okay. What's the picture or sense of it? Just kind of energetically, the mud, you said it's like being in the mud. What's that like?
It's hard to move through. And it feels very
like quicksand or something.
Yeah. Very restricting.
Very heavy mud.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So that's first part. Second part. Now we're going to shift. And you're going to allow yourself to raise up. Just imagine yourself becoming very light, Amy, and people listening, if they can follow, they can become lighter on their own, to rise up from their own mud. And you're getting higher and higher into a wonderful mountain, a perch, a high place. So you just get to this very lofty place. It's easy, light, and you can just rise up and just be there and allow yourself to be there with the perfect energy and temperature and sunlight, and everything is there for you. And let me know when you're getting a sense of that, Amy.
Oh, I'm there.
What's it like for you?
It's very peaceful and green, and I'm sitting on a bench, and it's just, the breeze is blowing. There's sun, but it's not very warm. It's just warm enough where I just feel nice and comfortable.
Right. So are you in a high point, like where you have a big view,
Yes, I'm sitting like up at the top of a mountain, and I can just
You're sitting at the top of a mountain, so you have this wonderful, say it's like 360-degree view or panoramic view. You can see it far and wide.
Yes.
Wonderful temperature. It's green. It's peaceful.
You can see all the way across.
Wow, that's beautiful. So that's a wonderful energy. That's a higher vibrational energy. So if you can imagine that wonderful energy, Do you want to give it a word or a symbol or just something that kind of refer to it for a moment?
Peaceful.
Okay, so that yes, peaceful.
Yes.
So why don't we send, if you'd like, that peaceful energy back to the former self that was stuck in the mud in that heavy restricted place a moment ago? Can you send that wonderful peace into your former self, your old self?
That's very interesting.
Yes, what's going on?
Feel it. It's like I'm rising up out of the drudgery.
Yes. And what's that like, rising up out of the drudgery? I like that description.
It's freeing almost.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Right.
cool.
So with that freeing energy, how does that feel just going forward and doing your tasks or email signatures or whatever? How does that feel going forward with that energy?
I can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah. And it'll work out just the way it's supposed to.
So whenever you're ready, Amy, you can open your eyes, and those people listening, if you had your eyes closed, open your eyes, feeling refreshed and alert, using, in your case, your peace, and the listeners, whatever energy they were absorbing or integrating into them at a more deeply soulful, unified, connected, heart open place with that beautiful panoramic view that's still there. And that's a soulful place. So we can actually live more from that place. And as the life's challenges present themselves, we can use that mud to mountaintop apex process
That's
for
awesome.
healing and direction.
That was so cool. I really like it because I could actually feel the difference. And literally I could feel like myself coming up out of the drudgery, the mud.
Right, that's wonderful.
And lighter.
So that's Kenza gives you a taste. That's why did we write the book, The Loving Power of Your Soul? So more people can access that and be guided by that. So when we work with people individually, those kind of shifts happen. When we teach like our live coaching and healing program for a year, that's where people can go through actually spiritual stages of evolution, because the more you connect with that energy, the more it integrates and the more you live your life from that place. And then going back to your earlier question, when you have choices, it's not that you don't have problems and make still choices you want to redo or whatever. You're much more on track and on purpose. And as you do that, everyone around you feels that, it radiates out, and the planet starts to feel it. And as you may have probably noticed, the planet needs more light and energy badly.
Yes, very much so. That was a really cool experience. Thank you for doing that with me.
Great, you did very well.
I really liked that. So what type of programs do you offer? I mean, I saw on your website that you had different programs and such. How can we work with you?
We have little mini courses, and we're going to have a new one coming up on spiritual healing and Akashic Records in August, but that's coming up. I don't know when this is going to air. And so we have certification courses, home study courses, where people go at their own rates on holistic EFT or the spiritual kinesiology, which we've been discussing a little bit, the healing from the soul. Or we have a live program, a coach healer with EFT certification, a year program that we work with a small group of people.
Can you tell us a little bit about the Akashic Record one?
Yeah, the Akashic Record course, which is going to be what is the Akashic Records, how it relates to spiritual healing, and different ways to do spiritual healing for growth and awareness. A lot of exercises, a lot of how-to and hands-on, as all our courses are. So it will be informational and experiential for people who want to get a bigger sense of why they're here, more profound information. Also working with guides and angels and support systems. So it's clear in a very practical way that people can use going forward. And it's a fun experience. People find it quite revelatory, these type of courses too.
Is it all on Zoom or online?
It will be all on Zoom. It'll be 5 recorded courses with handouts and instructions and a lot of live demos like we did, but maybe bringing in angels and Akashic record readings and things like that too.
That's awesome. And that's coming up in August.
Right. We don't even have, at this time, there's not even a description page, so it's not up yet.
Okay.
But it's going to probably mid-July. It will be, there'll be a description page. We also did a recent course, which was very wonderful, it was called, and this was a few months ago, Abundant Living with Angels, Oracles, and EFT, Abundant Living with Angels, Oracles, and EFT. And there is a sales page for that. And that was a very wonderful course. This is almost sort of in some ways a follow-up to that course, but or a companion might be a better way of saying it.
And just so for people who may or may not know what the Akashic Records are, can you explain to them what that is?
The Akashic Records is the giant cosmic bin where everything is recorded energetically. And there are record keepers, and sounds very extreme, except many people throughout history, not only Edgar Cayce and other people, have accessed it. So it's a way of understanding things that have been recorded everywhere and anywhere. So everything is somewhere an imprint. If you think of everything we've done in the world, and everyone is out there as a vibration, as an imprint, and it's being put somewhere, this is a collection of it. And some people use an analogy like a computer or a library, but that's just a rough analogy. It's not physically a computer or a library, but it's an analogy.
Yeah, and it's the Akashic Records are also mentioned in the Bible as well.
Yes.
The
Yes.
biblical term that a lot of people don't realize too. What you do, what you and your wife do is really amazing, and it's very transforming. I just experienced it myself very briefly, but how do you approach life in general with this information that you have?
I'll give you the best answer I can. I try to do me just as a fresh version of me every day.
Mm-hmm.
So the life purpose, which is based on your skills and talents and using them, what you're here to do, it's almost right in front of you. Most people don't quite realize that. And your soul plans how to make the biggest impact and also heal. There's healing as part of it and growing. So that means every day I'm going to show up and I have senses of my general direction, which is things like coaching and healing and communicating and doing this kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
And where your soul is sort of a sensitive meter, is sort of a sensitive device that has a sense of what has more energy.
Mm-hmm.
And people are guided more by their souls when they're doing it genuinely, not by their impulses, which it can be hijacked by that. But when they get more of that soul connection, like we've been talking about, then there's this is my next step. This is where I'm being led to go. And then you follow that. You don't know where it's going to turn out. You can't possibly know, but you may have some goals and ideas of it, which are fine, which may or may not come out. But that's it. And if you pay attention, every day is very different. And where I start and what I think is going to happen, by the end of the day, wow, I didn't see that. I didn't know that email was going to lead me to this thing and this person and this activity. I mean, I had no idea. In fact, I thought I was going to be doing something else today. But this is what, I was led to do.
That's, yep. I completely relate to that one. Sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, here we go.
Yes, with a lot of your life experiences, with some of the challenges you've had and transformations, you've really changed your role and identity many times, and that's good.
Yeah.
In a positive way.
We do that. So where can people find you?
Okay, well, let me say our general website, and I can give them a free gift too. So our general, very extensive 25-year-old website, just filled with free downloads and videos and articles and courses and things, is THRU.org. That's probably the quickest way to get there, getting through. And the free gift for your audience, which is an excerpt from our new book, The Loving Power of Your Soul, a holistic EFT tapping video, and some spiritual resources. This spiritual healing holistic kit, the free gift, can be found at tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit, tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit. That's an abbreviated URL that'll get people there. And since I mentioned the course on the abundant living with angels, oracles, and EFT, That has a shortened URL people might be interested in since we brought that up. But that's a tinyurl.com/abundant-living. tinyurl.com/abundant-living.
I'll put those in the show notes as well, and also on the blog page, so people can access that. Is there anything else you'd like our listeners to know about you or your wife, or what you do and how you help change or bring awareness to?
Well, we're just here to help with opening our own hearts, to help other people open their hearts so the planet can be a more loving, healing place, so we can go into the future in a much better place.
I love that. Well, if my last question that I ask everyone, and you are in your special place and you have the opportunity to speak with someone, and that person be either alive or on the other side of the veil, and you can talk to them for about anything for 1 hour, who would that person or spirit be, and what would you talk about?
It might be, well, lately I've been kind of conversing with Metatron a little bit. I might kind of converse more with Metatron, kind of an archangel, just about more about divine purpose and plans for myself and how I might fit into humanity's plan in a bigger way.
I like that. Metatron is a really cool archangel to work with. I love his presence.
Right, because there seem to be avatars of where beings are kind of lineages. We have different lineages. People kind of know that for physical lineage, and then the kind of your sort of your past life lineage, but there's actually lineages of different invisible beings that we have connections to as well.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one. Well, Phillip, I want to thank you so much for being on Butterfly Kisses today and sharing your journey with us and your book with us. And thank you again for your exercise. That was really powerful.
Great. Really enjoyed being with you, Amy, and your presence and questions. It was great.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Butterfly Kisses, a journey of spiritual transformation. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. This way you won't miss it when a new episode is released. Also, if you're interested in learning more about Akashic Record readings, you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me by visiting my website at amygray-cunningham.com. Again, thank you, and remember, always spread your gorgeous wings, my friend, and fly. Until next time, see ya.